Good morning. This is Monday with Friday, preparing you for a better week ahead. By now, it should have appeared to anyone watching this video from any part of the world that America's biggest problem is also your country's biggest problem. Over the years of this program, I've had some negative reactions whenever I have addressed issues concerning America's most felonious, most immoral, most avaricious, most dangerous, and most broken man. One Trinidadian whom I have known since my teens practically cussed me out the last time I exchanged texts with her, berating me for calling Kamala Harris's name and refusing to call the name of the other candidate at that time, demanding that I give the felon a chance. Of course, she didn't say the word felon. And by the way, she is a faithful Pentecostal Christian. One Jamaican friend called me practically a communist as he verbally vapullated me for, quote, inordinately knocking the felon, unquote, week after week. He too did not say felon. And by the way, he is a Christian clergy. Other persons would suggest or say outright, next week, please say something about Jesus. It's as if whenever I've mentioned this man, it wasn't in contrast to Jesus. And yet all of the persons I have referenced know the dictum, when the US sneezes, the global system often catches a cold. I learned that in 6th grade. And during the presidency of the world's biggest non-Russian and non-Israeli virus, a lot of people around the world started reaching for the thermometer and the medicine. For 75 years, the backbone of European security has been the alliance known as NATO. The whole idea is simple. If one member is attacked, everyone else responds, as they did in 9/11 when America was attacked. It's like a neighborhood watch program, except the neighborhood spans 2 continents and involves nuclear weapons. So consider these examples of the impact of America's folly on the rest of the world. The felonious fool repeatedly suggested that the United States might not defend allies who didn't spend enough on defense. That's like if your home security system says to you, we may not respond if someone breaks in depending on your monthly payment. So countries like Germany and France started quietly discussing something that hadn't been seriously considered in decades: building a more independent European defense system. That's right. England is now distancing itself wherever they can from American asininity. Canada's Mark Carney describes all of this as a rupture, not a transition. Next, there's climate. In 2015, nearly every country on Earth agreed to cooperate on climate change through the Paris Agreement. Then, the United States, the second largest emitter in the world, decided to leave because the bovine blockhead of a president has neither emotional nor international intelligence. Meanwhile, South Pacific islands that are literally watching the ocean rise outside their front doors, or Caribbean islands just another Cat 5 hurricane away from being a failed state, or Californians and Canadians look on as a rotten rogue in Washington cancels the fire department during their wildfires, or wastes 2.5 billion gallons of water, that's with a B, billions, intended for agricultural irrigation to fight fires in Los Angeles, hundreds of miles away. Everyone with the brain of a mollusk knew that the water would never reach Los Angeles. Only the asinine antagonist believed it would. It never did. Next, there's trade. The Orange Oaf launched a major tariff battle with China. Now, if trade were a simple 2-person argument, that might be manageable, but modern supply chains are more like a group text with 30 participants, even if on Pete Kegseth's favorite unsecure signal chat. for a secure conversation. A microchip designed in California might be manufactured in Taiwan, assembled in China, shipped through Singapore and installed in a product in Europe. So when the US and China start slapping tariffs on each other, suddenly factories in Vietnam, ports in South Korea, and farmers in Brazil all feel it. That is globalization, which everyone but the backward bully in Washington understands. One argument at the top table and suddenly everybody's dinner gets cold. Then we get to international agreements. The United States withdrew from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, an agreement negotiated with several global powers to limit Iran's nuclear program. European nations had helped negotiate it. They were still supporting it. But the United States, led by an ignorant ignoramus, pulled out and reinstated sanctions on Iran. And having broken the fix, the fool then creates a stupid war to fix the breach. No NATO country has joined this rapacious reprobate in this stupid war. In fact, all of them have roundly repudiated him and refused. This foolish foray that he calls an excursion is a slow and stagnating economic incursion with worldwide reach and impact. You just wait. Over there in England or Jamaica or even Trinidad, right next to Venezuela and Guyana, with massive oil reserves, to see what you pay at the pump next week. We haven't even touched how the mighty USA has now neutered any neighborly goodwill that Caribbean countries might have for Cuba. So it can even be said that even Jamaica, which also loves to call itself a Christian country, and Trinidad, not so much Tobago, one of the most religiously complex nations on earth, have been now made as irreligious as this iniquitous infidel's so-called Christian America, callously uncaring and walking on the other side of the shore while people in Cuba starve and die. That is diabolical. Finally, migration. Immigration debates in the United States are often framed as purely domestic issues, but migration systems connect entire regions. It has always been so. So in much of the Caribbean, Latin America, Asia, and Africa, remittances, money sent home from workers in the United States, are a major pillar of local economies. So when ICE freezes a human being on US soil, they freeze foreign economies also. It's not just about who crosses the border. It's about who pays rent and puts food on the table back home. Now remember, some leaders abroad actually like parts of Trump's approach. Maybe the whole man himself. Ask Madam Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago. Ask Liberia President Joe Boakia. Liberia? Given your history? Man, you should be ashamed of yourself. But here's the thing. People around the world aren't really obsessed with American politics as much as they care about how American power sits at the center of so many global systems, security alliances, financial markets, climate agreements, and trade networks. Like it or not, that is the way it is. So when Americans choose a US policy change and they change direction, the ripple doesn't stop at the shoreline. It crosses oceans, it affects, sickens, endangers, and kills people abroad. Just ask the millions of people way beyond the shores of America affected by the closure of USAID. The sadder thing is this, that while millions of non-Americans worldwide now suffer because of Americans' choice of a minuscule microscopic mollusk for president, they can't do a single thing about it. They must trust the same silly people who voted him in to learn the hard way and vote him and his greedy, incompetent, and venal clan out. That is, if they'll ever have another shot at voting in elections free and fair and free from fear. I'm Michael Friday, and your week just got better. I'll see you again soon. Happy Friday, happy Monday, all the way to Friday.